And we are now live, family. We are now live. Shout out to everybody out there waiting all over the globe. Welcome to another episode. This your host, Radiohead Rich. I'm back with another magnificent show. I got a double header tonight, y'all. Right after this show, I got another show with Red and King Simon. So we're gonna have a good time tonight. Tonight, another show with Red and King Simon.
Your
So
computer?
we're gonna have a good time tonight. Tonight. Willie, I think that's your computer. You got King Simon.
Your
So,
computer?
we're gonna have a good time tonight. Tonight, Willie, I think that's your computer. You got
Do I got what?
we're gonna have a good time tonight. Tonight, Willie, I think that's your computer. You got there's an echo.
Do I got what?
There's an echo. Do you have a computer on or something? I think that's your computer. You got Okay, so I just muted you. As soon as I mute you, the echo goes away. There's something on your end. Do you have anything else playing? As soon as I mute you, the echo goes away. There's something on your end. Do you have anything else playing? As soon as I mute you, do y'all hear that, family, or is it just on my end? Do y'all hear that? On your end. Do you have anything else playing? You hear too? Do y'all hear that, family, or is it just on? Yeah, whenever I mute the brother, I don't hear it. Let me know if y'all hear that. But there's a huge echo, like it's echoing whatever I'm saying. Yeah, you hear it? Yeah. But there's do you have it on Bluetooth or anything like that? Headphones, anything like that? Are you using a mic or using a computer mic? Like that? Headphones, anything like that? Are you using a mic or using a computer mic? Like that? All right, try to go out and come back in. Let's see. That might help. Are you using a mic or using a computer mic? Like that? All right. Yeah. All right. Shout out to that brother. Let that brother do what he do. What's up, family? How y'all doing? But listen, I'm doing something a little different tonight. I got a comedian on tonight, but not just any comedian, a conscious comedian, a comedian who's shifting the paradigm. And as we know, all the industries are collapsing. All the industries are changing, and there's huge paradigm shifts happening in the financial market. You'll see RFK just got nominated. He's officially down with the health, one of the top health dudes in the government now. That's big. That's big because the first thing he did was ban the red dye, and it's awesome. So in every field, there's huge changes happening, huge paradigm shifts, and comedy is something that's so important. We oftentimes overlook it as just entertainment, but it's way more than that. It's way more than that. And the Joker played an important role in the cards, whether it's the tarot and several cards. So yeah. Somebody said, "Can we see your shirt?" Or optimistic. Yeah. It's I got this from online. Somebody said somebody wanted to see my shirt. Yeah, I got this from online. Yeah, I got that from online. Let's see if it's better now with the brother Willie Lynch. I got this from online. Yes, still hear it. I got that from online. Let's see if it's better now with the brother Willie Lynch. I got this from online. Yes, still hear it. I got that from online. Something in your computer. Willie Lynch. I got this from online. Yes, still hear it. I got that from online. Something in your computer. Willie Lynch. I know what I'm on. What's up? Peace and shout out to who I'm on. Something in your computer. I know what I'm on. What's up? Peace and shout out to who I'm on. Laughter soothes the soul, y'all. Laughter definitely soothes the soul. Laughter is extremely important for the soul. It is, and I could continuously tell the story about when I took Bufu. I went to the realm of laughter. Extremely important. It's extremely underrated when it comes to our health and when it comes to healing. We always talk about love, but we leave laughter out of the equation. And we need to laugh about the right things, family. It's time that we laugh about the right things. And it's going to be beautiful to see the comedians join the paradigm shift and join the movement in terms of the ascension and the reawakening. Cat Williams set it off 2 years ago. Cat Williams set it off, where you throw consciousness into your comedy. And Dave Chappelle's good at doing it. So it's a beautiful thing. Let's see if the brother Mike works now. And it sounds like it's better. Willie Lynch, you there?
Yes, sir.
It's gone now, brother. It's fixed.
All right.
It is fixed now, brother. You look worried there for a second, man.
I was, man. You know, the devil been fucking with me the last couple of days, man.
Hey, man, don't say that, man. You look at it. You got one of them comedians. The way you smile, man. That's the.
And he been fucking with me, man. And I found out the devil was a midget with big ass titties from Brooklyn.
Oh man, don't
Nigga
say
been
it.
under my bed fucking with me, so I was trying to make sure that wasn't that nigga tonight. So I think we good now, bro.
All right, man. Tell the people who you are and where you're from, brother. What you do, man. Because I just was talking about comedy and this paradigm shift that's happening, and how the same way the health industry is changing, the same way the Department of Education is changing, the same way spirituality and religion is changing. People are leaving religion. Everything's changing, and comedy is so important. It's not just entertainment. And what you're doing is magnificent out there. You represent the health community. You represent so much. You mean so much to the comedic community. Tell the people who you are, what you do, my brother.
Well, my name is Willie Lynch Jr., man. I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois. Right across the bridge from St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I was born, in St. Louis. But I'm from East St. I'm a historian. I'm a herbalist. I'm a professional stand-up comedian. Yeah, that's me, bro. So I'm a nigga that tell jokes. I help niggas get their blood pressure together. I'm the one that you call in the middle of the night after your stepdaughter BBL then burst and Capri Sun juice squirting out that motherfucker.
Oh man.
I'm the nigga you call when you got questions about politics and want things to be put in the proper context and in terms of historical context. But again, man, I'm a comedian, I'm a herbalist, I'm a historian, and that's me, bro. And I'm a child of a bunch of people, man.
Excellent. Okay, who's your favorite comedian, my brother, of all time? Who do you look up to, my brother?
My son's father, nigga, my daddy's youngest child. Me, motherfucker, no.
Yes, that's father.
I am a big fan of Paul Mooney. So if you see me perform, like I don't know if you saw some of the stuff I sent, but I sit down on stage when I perform and I hold the mic like Paul, and it's unconscious. I just do it. Paul taught me when I was coming out of college, when I got back into comedy, he taught me how to make a serious topic like racism and politics. He taught me how to make that shit, funny. Because at first I would be on stage trying to talk about Sheikh Anta Diop and stuff that I read from Dr. Clark in different lectures and shit. And I'm trying to make it funny, but I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
But watching him, it helped me. But him, Red Fox, because I'm from the Lou. Mm-hmm. Chappelle is like I get compared to Chappelle a lot, and I don't do it on purpose. It's just like we have kindred spirits to an extent, meaning like have a consciousness, and we don't just get on stage and talk about the typical things that most comedians talk about. So I would say those are a few.
Indeed. What is like when you do your comedy, my brother? We're talking about this paradigm shift. You told me something important earlier on the phone. And you told me how the liberals pretty much what they control the comedy scene behind the scenes. What were you telling me about the liberals, my brother? Things you have to go through personally.
So what I noticed in 2020 during the election, that if you spoke out against Joe Biden, if you spoke out against Obama, if you spoke out against the liberals, the Democrats, then you would get attacked, by a bunch of people. And I started noticing people that I had known for years, damn near over 2 decades, who never had any issues. People stayed at my house, people I've gone on the road with, people I wrote for, people that I was close to. I just little simple stuff, like I noticed they would unfollow me on social media. And they was like, "You a Trump supporter?" I'm like, "Nah, bro, you've been knowing me long enough to know that I'm a Pan-Africanist and a Black nationalist. I can't be a Trump supporter if I worship Dr. John Henry Clark. It's a contradiction." But what I noticed was that it was they who, it seemed like they were behind the scenes. They were like puppet masters to all of the people, like a lot of comedians. Like they would get on social media and they would talk about racism when they never talked about it. Like I've been doing comedy professionally since 2009, and I was someone who always spoke on race. And when stuff kind of got bad, 2020, I saw comedians who never would speak on race and police brutality, et cetera. They would never use the term white supremacy. I noticed that they started doing it, and I was excited for a second. But then once Joe Biden became president, or once he was running, and they were endorsing him, in as much as we're in the information age, and that this motherfucker locked up more niggas than Mookie Blaylock in the 90s, nigga. It's like, how can you endorse him? Like, again, Trump is Trump, but how can you endorse dude? You know, and I started noticing, like, it appeared, in my opinion, that everybody, it's like they was reading off the same script. All of the comedians I knew, all of the actors that I knew in Hollywood, you know, and it was very, very, very scary. So to answer your question, in my opinion, it appears that they are the ones who control the Black entertainers, not the grassroots, not the ancestors. You know what I mean? Like when you look at somebody like Dick Gregory, who I'm compared to a lot, and who's somebody who I worship, he never endorsed a political party. He was owned and controlled by the grassroots. But you will see people when Trump was first in office, you will see, you know, certain comedians who would speak out against Trump, and it made sense. And you're like, damn, I respect dude, or I respect the old girl. But then when you got more information years down the line, you're like, okay, they're only allowed to talk about Trump and the conservatives. They won't say anything about the liberals. And I'm someone who talks about both because both are anti-Black. You know, so again, the answer is I found out that it is they who control, you know, the comedians. And it seems as though, like now, like with your platform, like you said, there's a paradigm shift in every aspect of life in America. What's happening is now there's no longer, people are no longer listening to traditional media. So we're getting our information from podcasts, from social media, you know, and what's happening is the powers that be see this. So now they're creating, you know, people online that look just like us to parrot what they want them to say. This is why I'm looking at, on Facebook, and all my friends in comedy, they're all saying the exact same thing when it comes to the election. They keep calling Kamala Black, even though she ain't got one Black ancestor, motherfucker. You know, it's just wild. But that's what I noticed, man.
We heard Kendrick use the word the revolution will be televised in the Super Bowl performance. What role do you think comedians play in the quote unquote revolution? What role, how important is your role, and how would you you know, go about televising this revolution that we are talking about right now?
So number one, I don't know if I agree with that the revolution will be televised. Number two, the role of a comedian, man, like again, I'm the child of Dr. John Henry Clark. And Dr. Clark, when he talked about in his documentary called The Great and Mighty Walk, that was narrated by Wesley Snipes, he said that he was talking about Paul Robeson, and he said the one job of an entertainer is to use their talent to change the society in which they live. So that is my job. So again, my real name ain't Willie Lynch Jr. You know, when I was in college, I was working at a plantation, at Bellmead Plantation, right outside of Nashville. I was giving tours. I was a docent. I'm dressed like a fucking butler, like Jeffrey off Fresh Prince. And I'm giving tours, giving the history of this plantation, but at the same time talking about, you know, the history of enslaved Africans in America, as well as, you know, putting them in the proper context, like what they did before they became slaves. And I remember I said I wanted to do comedy again, and I read the Willie Lynch letter, and I this is how I ended up choosing the name. And I felt the ancestors told me, because my plan was to get my PhD, because I was finishing my master's, I was going to get my PhD and be the next Dr. Clark. And I literally felt like the ancestors said, if we will sanction your comedy career, your comedy endeavors, only if you would teach our people in the audience our history while you're making them laugh. So that has been my role. And then I ended up meeting a man named Dr. Sebi. And Dr. Sebi changed my life in another regard. So now I'm not only sitting on stage making you laugh, talking about just things that I see or silly shit that I think, and even talking history, throwing little history tidbits in there. But now I'm talking about nutrition. I'm talking about herbs. I'm talking about healing. I'm talking about disease. So the role that I play is to get you to loosen up and laugh at me while I, you know, kind of put some in your head, put some in your brain, put some on your consciousness.
Right. Who's the hardest crowd in your experience to rock? Old people, young people, white people, Black people, Hispanic people. Like who, when you get up there, you be like, oh shit, I gotta go to work because these motherfuckers ain't going. You know, it's hard to make them laugh. You know.
So at first is when I got to New York and I was playing Times Square. I was playing, I wasn't even in Times Square yet. That's why I got good at it. But I was playing at New York Comedy Club, and this was a bunch of tourists, and I did not know how to perform in front of tourists. They were difficult. Then other New York crowds, like it's a spot in New York in the Bronx called not Cafe Lou's. What is this spot called? Smokey used to host it, but it's in the Bronx. It'll come to me in a second. But I would go there, and it's all Jamaicans, and them niggas didn't give a fuck about nothing we was talking about.
Oh man.
And if you could get them to laugh, then you could get them, because see, when you don't know any better, you just, because a Jamaican looks just like a black American. You go and they like, oh, these niggas, I'm finna kill they bitch ass. But then you realize that they some goddamn nigga from Kingston, and he don't give a fuck about none of it. This nigga came to eat this Rasta pasta, and he like, why is this fucking Yankee up for talking? So those, but the white crowds are easy, because I'm an intellect and I just know how to do it, and I can speak their vernacular, you know. But yeah, so New York was tough for me at first, but I ended up mastering it.
Do you think the white crowds appreciate your intellect more, or are they like more like sometime, just to give you an example, there's this stereotype that in Hollywood that black people don't want to see this, or they want to, you know, and they feed us these degenerate movies, and they always say that, oh well, black people don't want to see that kind of stuff. That type of stuff don't sell out in the movies, in the box office or whatever. So what's your thoughts on black people versus white people appreciation for intellectual comedy?
So you got to remember, a lot of times when we talk about black and white, we make it seem as though, well, we generalize a lot, because just as though there are different, I guess, classes of whites, there are different classes of blacks. So all blacks don't think the same. Like if I'm in a room full of people, like I remember Tony Roberts, who's one of my favorite comedians ever. Tony Roberts saw me in Nashville in 2000, I believe, in maybe 14, and he said, nigga, you got the comedy. They said, well, you can perform in front of a so loud crowd full of white people, you know, arrogant white people, and you can kill. So it's like, my comedy for me is, I don't think it's just black or white. Like there are intellectual black people who want to hear smart stuff. Or I'm from the hood too. Like before I got to Fisk, I was, you know what I'm saying, kind of gang banging, you know, in Champaign, Illinois, with some niggas from Chicago, some niggas from East St. So I grew up in the hood. I'm from the hood. I'm a country cat. You know what I'm saying? But once I got educated, it kind of changed a lot. So I'm like Talent, the comedian from New York, my OG, he called me a hybrid. So I can kind of play both sides. So one of the things that I do when I write my material is I write to be appealing to all groups of American blacks. So if you can do that, like if you can talk to a room full of PhDs and make them laugh, you can talk to a room full of middle class or upper middle class whites and make them laugh as well. But at the same time, if you can talk to a room full of cats, you know, from the south side of Chicago, all of them gang members, and you can make them laugh, and you telling jokes about soy milk and how that shit make niggas be sensitive and watch Days of Our Lives for no fucking reason. Like if you can make all of those groups laugh, I think you're a bad motherfucker, and that's me, nigga.
Well, you know, pretty much I don't watch. I mean, I remember back in the day, Willie Lynch Jr. I mean, Comic View, and Comic View was on BET. Oh man, that was some. I used to watch that. I don't know if it came on weekly or nightly. I forget, but I used to watch it all the time. Do you think comedy will ever? Well, mainstream media is pretty much dead. But do you think comedy will be around on that magnitude again soon? Where you got the Comic View, you got the Def Comedy Jam, you had shit on Saturday Night Live with and then I think they had something on. I think they had Mad Live TV or some shit like that too, competing with Saturday Night Live. But there was just so many options with comedy. Do you think we're going to see a return to that anytime soon?
I don't so much, because comedy is dangerous. Because they say comedy is the last form of free speech. And if you watch a documentary called Why We Laugh, you'll see Samore in there, who's one of the greatest ever. Moore says that, you know, if you want to know what's going on in Black America, then listen to the comedians. And so what's happening now is they're controlling, like that stuff is just not on television. And one of the reasons why I believe it is not, because you'll have somebody who's like Dave Chappelle, this to me is so prolific, because he's speaking to things and speaking to points and giving, you know, takes on things happening in the country that most other Black comedians are terrified to even discuss. So I don't think it'll ever get back there. I miss it. Because that's when comedy was extremely fun. But now Comedy Bro got to a point where when they had a new television show coming out, they would call the funniest comedians available to audition or to, you know, to perform on that show. But now it's gotten to the point where you got guys who are masquerading as comedians, like people from radio, people on social media, like internet people, you know, like people who do skits and just go live on Instagram and just talk funny. And it's funny, but they now call them comedians. So a lot of us don't get work. A lot of us don't get, we won't get opportunities because we at one point in time, we were getting replaced by the social media people.
What do you think about the social media people, the skits, the brothers and sisters out there? I forget, I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but they hard on Instagram with all those skits. Do you think are you impressed by that coming from the era of Richard Pryor and knowing about all the greats, Dick Gregory, Paul Mooney? Are you impressed by what you're seeing on Instagram right now?
Well, I'm a snob, and for years I wouldn't watch it because I was annoyed by it. But it is a talent. Like I've worked with some of those cats. I worked with Jack Funny from Detroit. He came to East St. Louis last year. Like that is a talent what they have. But to compare them to us and call them us, like it's a slap in the face. I'm like, bro, they're not stand-up comedians.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's like they can't do what we do, but we can learn to do what they do. You know what I mean? And to an extent, they probably could learn to do what we do, but it's difficult because once you're famous, it's hard to practice.
Right.
Like I can go in a room full of people who have no clue who I am, and I can work out material. But when they're already famous, it's like they have training wheels. Like I remember when I was living in New York, I was in Harlem, and they brought back Def Jam, and I got picked to audition for it, and I didn't get picked, and I smashed that night in Brooklyn, bro. But I didn't get picked, and they picked a couple social media cats and some cats in LA who were just okay, but just because they knew somebody in LA, they put them on the show. And so one of the things that I noticed is they overproduce black comedy shows now. So instead of just getting raw talent, they're all about this diversity thing. And I don't even know what the fucking diversity is. Like they'll put, like when Comic View came out in 2013, like I auditioned in Chicago. I had just won the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition, which is the biggest black comedy competition ever. And I won it. Then I made it to the finals. I won the Miller Lite in Chicago, went to the finals in Vegas. And I get a standing ovation at the audition, and they make me re-audition. Then I end up not getting picked. Then you watch the people that they picked; they're mediocre. It's like they got to put a white dude on there, they got to put a black girl on there. They're not putting a black woman on there because she's funny. They put on there for diversity purposes. You know what I mean? So comedy, it's just different, man. But the blessing is we have social media. So you got cats like my guy Nate Jackson. Nate Jackson is a superstar now. Like this is the guy who beat me at the Bay Area in 2010, and now he's doing a world tour because he blew up on TikTok doing crowd work. So comedy it's a different ball game now, bro.
Yeah. What who's real funny to me who do the skits? The dude, you seen the skits, the white Air Force One versus the black Air Force One, brother. They be like the white Air Force One pastor versus the black Air Force One pastor. You ain't see that, dude?
When I say I don't watch none of that, bro, like part of it was almost like niggas was hating and jealous. Us hating and jealous on them because it's like they pushed us out the way. And in terms of notoriety, you can't knock them. But it's like the promoters don't even give a fuck. Even the comedy clubs don't care. Like they'll literally book somebody with no stand-up talent ability and have them go up in front of 300 people and bomb. But they selling tickets, so
they don't care.
Yeah, so I just don't watch it, and I do so much other stuff, but I don't watch any of that stuff, and I don't know why, but I just don't. So I have no idea who the biggest is.
Indeed, that's one thing I would love to do. I swear, I would love to. There's a lot of things I would love to do. I got a production company, and I put together lectures. I produce music. I would love to bring comedians to Atlanta to do a stand-up, man. I would love, and I'm gonna put it together. It's been on my mind. I'm gonna put it together. I'm definitely gonna holler at you when I do, man. But I would love to get like 4 or 5 comedians. Shaq be doing shit like that for the All-Star Weekend. He get comedians and he bring them out, whatever. Yeah, that we gotta keep. The comedians are so important, brother. So important. Let me ask you this: in terms of health, you got the Dr. Sebi on your shirt. G, tell me, was he a funny man? Was he a funny brother? So, G got a lot to tell me about Dr. Sebi, man, Mr. G.
So Sebi, I fell in love with Sebi. Part of it because of his humor. Like he was funny, and I only met him one time, and I met him, not met him, but I was there November 22nd, 2014 in Brooklyn when G brought him to Brooklyn to the Masonic Temple. but I would watch his lectures and he was funny as hell to me. And what G told me was that he would study comedians. He would study comedy and jazz because comedy helped his timing and his lectures. So yeah, he was funny. You know what I mean? Like the nigga said, if the human body was meant to be cut open, it would have a zipper on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yep. I heard him say that. And now what how do you fit, health into your routine? Health is something that, that's a touchy subject because big pharma, they gangsters. And my channel I had a conversation with you. I'm like, Willie Lynch, just make sure you don't mention, and everybody know what I'm talking about, that word, because my channel done got suspended for saying that word. They done struck my channel about 7 different times for saying that word. So how do you go about teaching people about alternative medicine without, worrying about sponsors or, worrying about getting booked and things like that?
Because I sneak that shit in there. Like I have a couple bits that I do. Like everybody has an issue with erectile dysfunction. Like I'll be on the show. Like I was on the show this past Saturday in St. Louis, and this gal that went before me was talking about men with erectile dysfunction. Yeah. Now it just so happened that's one of my best bits, so I did my bit right after her, and I was trying to teach the brothers like, hey, right, you know what I mean? Like this is a real thing, but here is a solution, for this problem. And it works because the crazy part, bro, is when I get off stage, man, people come up to me and they be like, man, you funny as hell, bro. I appreciate you, man. You the funniest cat I've never seen, et cetera, et cetera. But then they whisper to me and say, hey, nigga, what's the name of that herb you said that help niggas get good home? He's like, but it ain't me, dog. It's my cousin. This nigga dick won't work for nothing. I don't want to point him out. He over there sitting in the crowd, but nigga, I think what's the name of it? Do you sell it, nigga? So it's important because at first, like Bill Bellamy is my OG. And Bill he's kind of gave me some game several years ago because the way I was delivering my nutrition material was a little harsh. It was like, you niggas are sick, you fucked up, and he was like, people don't take kindly to that. So he said, you got to kind of put it back on yourself. So for example, I have a bit again about why I became a quote unquote vegan, or why did I stop eating meat? Now, part of what I'm saying is the truth. And then the new component I added to the joke was I'm actually lying. And I'm telling the crowd that I stopped eating meat because my thing wasn't working like it used to.
Can we hear that bit? Can we hear it?
Hear that motherfucker if you're in New York City next Friday at Comedy in Harlem, nigga. But no.
You gotta give us something, man. Before you go, you gotta give us something, man.
But it put like this. That bit there is a killer because not only is it informative, and the reason why I get compared to Chappelle is not only my consciousness, but the topics that I choose to speak on, but also my misdirection. Like I was in DC at the Kappa Comedy Takeover last summer, and this lady after the shows, there was about 800 to 1,000 people there, and I went in the middle and I murdered, and she came up to me. She said, "Man, we were literally confused. We didn't know. We were listening to you, and we was like, oh no, he finna take us somewhere. He gonna go somewhere. He gonna go left." And the reason why she was saying it was because a lot of my material is misdirection. You know what I mean? Like you'll hear me. I got a bit that I do about urine therapy, and that's G's favorite joke ever. I mean, if you go to my YouTube, my Instagram, you'll see it because it's pinned. But I've reworked it, and it's a motherfucker. And I'm talking about Sebi. I'm talking about blindness. I'm talking about so many different things, and you sitting here just looking at me like this nigga smart and he's deep. But once I get to the punchline, nigga, the room explodes. So those are the ways that I do it. Like I have to be careful to not overdo it because again, people come to laugh. Now, mind you, I'm making you laugh the whole time, but you don't want to become, redundant. You don't want to become, just repetitive. So I just switch it up. But no, I don't get in trouble because I know what not to say. Like I've never gotten in trouble on stage, for anything that I've said.
Do you think Black people don't take things too serious? Like we want to laugh. Do you think we want to laugh too much? And let me say why I say that. Often when things happen, people make comments like, oh, Black people is going to make a joke out of this. And it could be the most tragic shit that happened in society. We're going to get on social media and find a way to make a joke out of it, find a way to make humor out of it. So I talked about how important comedy is. Do you think that do you think that there's a possibility that we need to be more serious and not be joking all the goddamn time?
Yes, we do. Dr. Clark had a lecture, and it was talking about we need to be serious about serious business.
Mm-hmm.
Like so that's one of my other problems. Like that's why I get compared to Dick Gregory because I can literally be so serious about black folk because I don't believe in God. Like God is black people to me collectively. So
Mm-hmm.
like I work for God. I serve God by serving African people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of the few people that I know that actually really love us so much that I get angry a lot. And I used to get angry, but then I did some shrooms. And KT sent me some nigga, and them motherfuckers, it's like they reworked the nigga's brain. So I was able to kind of relax a little bit more and kind of approach things, from a different angle. But it's a lot of stuff we don't take serious. Like especially Black America. Like we should be talking about reparations every single day.
Mm.
Niggas is talking about Kendrick Lamar. Now, mind you, his performance probably was great to some people, probably was boring to others. But I'm like, if y'all gave that same energy, to promoting or forcing politicians to give us compensatory justice for everything that happened to our ancestors and us, then we would be much further along. So it's a lot of stuff that we should be taking serious, but we don't because we like Neely Fuller talks about like we like kids, man.
That's it's interesting you brought Kendrick up. That's something he brought up in his performance that some people got upset at. He talked about 40 acres in a mule. So during his performance, so definitely shout out to him for bringing that to the national stage. And like I said, it's beautiful when we got everybody, the comedians talking about certain things, like let's say reparations. We got Kendrick talking about it. We may have the intellectuals talking about it, and that's what causes this strong collective energy about the topic. So it's just dope when we all on code, as they say, as Tariq, as brother Tariq would say, when we all on code about certain things. In terms of comedy, what made you get into comedy? People say that I heard certain comedians say that people who go through the most trauma in their early life often become comics. Did something traumatic happen to you that made you want to be a comic, or do you think you were just born a comic? How did you go about choosing this as as a calling?
So when I was a kid, man, I when I was a kid, my mom, they were playing Eddie Murphy's Delirious on television. I think I was like 2 years old. And she said every time I saw him, I would say, Goonie Goo Goo, Goonie Goo Goo. Because he's talking about I think his stepdad was talking about his aunt. He's like, she's a Bigfoot Goonie Goo Goo. And so I just remembered that. And so I would say Goonie Goo Goo all the time. And then my mom said I was just really funny. Like my sister who passed couple years ago, she was, when I was a kid, man, I was 4 years old, I think. No, 5 years old. And I got in trouble because I was watching, it was a commercial that used to be on. It was talking about milk make your body feel good. And he dude drink the milk and he's got muscles and shit. And so one day, we live like in a project. So I'm sitting at at the bottom of the steps and I just kept saying that shit over and over and over. And she was like, would you stop saying it? And I wouldn't. And she's like, go upstairs to your room. So I go to my room and I'm up there for like an hour. And she tells me I can come back downstairs. And I come back downstairs. I got on my Easter suit from the year before and it was great. I had on a white shirt and everything with these platform shoes and my pants was flooded. And I was doing the Pee Wee Herman because remember that was Pee Wee Herman suit. And so they were laughing so hard that she took me around the projects with a boom box. It was a rap song, the Pee Wee Herman rock y'all.
Yeah.
Like so I was doing that. Then I got a little bit older. I used to watch Martin and I would imitate Martin. I would imitate Eddie Murphy on Nutty Professor. I used to watch Comic View with my grandmother every day, every night. So my cousin, who was the first person to put me on stage when I was 14 years old, he's passed in 2016. He was the first comedian I knew. And I was staying with my aunt and he lived there. And he was watching Def Jam and I didn't know what it was. I was in the 7th grade or 6th grade. And so I was watching that and I loved it. And I would go back to school and I would repeat everything that the comedians were saying. So that's how I got into comedy to an extent. I did have a lot of trauma. Like something happened to me when I was in college. Somebody laced my weed and I was messed up for like 2 years. Like I was suicidal, tried to commit suicide a couple times. I went from being the funniest dude in the school, the funniest dude in the clique, the funniest dude from the hood, to somebody who suffered, a great deal of anxiety. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't be funny no more. Like I lost all of that, and I knew it. That was the worst part about my depression.
God.
And so I tried to commit suicide in probably September 2003 when I was at Fisk. And one of the people who saved my life, two people saved my life. The girl who ended up taking me to church, which kept me from committing suicide that day, she ended up getting killed April 7th, 2007. She got hit by a drunk driver. The other dude, my partner named Scooby, he stopped me that day right before she picked me up. And Scooby just passed yesterday. Um, but so I went through a lot. And so to go from being funny into 2 years, for 2 years, I couldn't barely talk. Like once I got over that depression and I went back to me, I became a super me. So once I got back on stage in my mid 20, early 20s, like that kind of drove my comedy because I was so used to losing that ability, and then to get it back, it made me a motherfucker, man. So I've had trauma, a lot of trauma, and I make fun of a lot of the stuff I've gone through. But all comedians, I don't believe, just have trauma. I mean, we're black, so everybody's for the most part gone through some traumatic stuff. But I was just always funny. My mom was funny. My grandmama was funny. So
Mhm. What do you think about, we used to have shows like in Living Color, man. And I mean, wow, what a show. It doesn't get the recognition that it should for the skits that it put together. What's your thoughts on Hollywood and how they treat black comics? Let's say the Wayans brothers, let's say Kevin Hart, let's say Cat Williams, let's say Dave Chappelle when he stepped down and he said they wanted him to put on a skirt. What's your thoughts on comics in Black Hollywood, man?
well, there's no such thing as black Hollywood, but
Not black. I'm sorry, comics in Hollywood. I'm sorry, black
well,
comics in Hollywood. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we've gotten away from black nationalism, and we think that if we're so talented, if we make enough money, then we can escape this this 500-year room, as Dr. Ivan Van Sertima said, that we've been locked in, which is called racism, white supremacy. Like we think we can get away from it. And so a lot of us, we pretend that this stuff, we know it's there, but then we say, well, if I make enough money, if I get these people enough, checks, then they'll let me be. But they don't understand the system. And Neely Fuller Jr. says, if you don't understand, the system of racism, white supremacy, how it works, and what it is, then every other thing that you think you understand, it only confuse you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us, instead of focusing on building our own, we try to rework the system from the inside, and it's just not going to work. And so I'm still, every now and then I go out to Hollywood and I do some things. Like I was out there several years ago. I was met with some big agencies. One of them was CAA, about a show that I was pitching called The Traveling Black Vegan. And it's me, being me, a comedian, a historian, and a herbalist, and a vegetarian or vegan, going around the world like Anthony Bourdain, like doing exactly what he was doing, but I'm funny. And I'm looking for herbs. And I'm like, I want some shit that ain't got no starch in it. That was that. So I was in LA, had a couple meetings and ended up coming back home. But what happened with Bill Cosby and then what happened with Kevin Hart, especially Kevin Hart, it made me not want to really fuck with Hollywood no more. I just pop in and out, but I don't want to be there. You know what I mean? Because I know what they do to us. Like like my girl Lauryn Hill said, they hail you, then they nail you. Like you look at what's going on with Diddy, what's going on with again Bill Cosby, with Jay-Z, all of those guys that they created. Like I've been listening to Big Up a lot lately from Goody Mob, and a lot of what he's saying is resonating with me. And I didn't want to, bro. I was somebody that was playing the game. Like as radical as I am, I knew how to be quiet. I knew when to speak, when to shut up. Like I didn't get as loquacious, if you will, into during the pandemic. But I don't want to be a part of none of that. I got sons, man, and I don't want them to see. I don't want nothing to happen to me that's gonna hurt them. And I know if I pretend that place out there isn't a demonic place, and I end up with my talent, I become, an elite comedian, I know eventually they're gonna come get my bitch ass too. So I'm like, nah, nigga, I'm gonna stay here, stay on the stage, talking shit, swallow the spit, farting on the elevators. That's what the fuck I'm gonna do, nigga.
Nah, I hear you, brother. How long you been in New York for?
I was in New York. I moved to New York September 28th, 2014.
Okay.
Then I moved back top of February of 2017 because I had a son that was born to me. I Dejuan on the day Sebi, and I came home to take care of my mom because I was only gonna come home for a little bit. Um, but my mom was really sick, and she started listening to me about the herbs. So I was like, let me stay home. And then I had a family, so I was like, man, I can do this from here. So I stayed at the crib, man. But New York is still like my second home. Harlem, again, I'm gonna be in comedy in Harlem next Friday, man. But I was in New York for a little over 2 years.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it is about the African American experience in particular that has produced some of the greatest comics in the world? Once again, the list, we could go to Martin Lawrence, we could go to Dave Chappelle, we could go to Richard Pryor. You could mention and the list goes on and on and on. You could put Kevin Hart up there. You could you could put Cat Williams up there. But there's just so many legendary comedians from Black America. What in particular, because so many groups went through so much oppression in this country, what was it about the way we grew up that made us want to gravitate toward comedy, like in the manner in which we did?
I don't agree with the fact that so many groups went through so much oppression. I believe we had the most unique oppression.
Okay.
And America is the greatest nation in terms of political and economic and military power. That the experience that we went through, like it just made us a unique group of Africans because all Africans are unique, but we're in the belly of the beast, man. And like the nature of our oppression created these people, these personalities, like, pressure bust pipes. So like, through these lumps of coal, these carbon, based things, you find these diamonds, these jewels and I think that's us, man. So I just think our experience, man, like us just trying to survive, man, because like the stuff that they put us through and the stuff that they are putting us through, like you got to be able to laugh at some of this shit, G. Like right now, man, I'm going through hell with my mom. You know what I mean? Like I was traveling around the world, bro. Like I was in Europe, I was in Paris and London, I was in Havana. You know, I was around the world, bro. And then my mom got sicker and sicker and sicker. And so a nigga just had to kind of be still. And I'm losing out a lot, but I'm actually still, here for my mom. And I have a lot of shit that's on my plate, a lot of stuff on there, and it makes me even funnier when I can channel it. So it's just, I don't think we're just completely unique. But I think we are unique, and our experiences kind of created, the.
Shout out to Mr. G. He just gave the super chat donation. My brother, Mr. G's in the building officially.
That's
you know what I'm saying? I gotta visit you. You have you been to Honduras? Have you visited G in Honduras?
I've been to Honduras, but I was on one of them cruise ships, so nigga, I stopped, took a picture on the boat, by the boat, got the
I gotta go to Honduras and visit G. I'm gonna see you there, man.
I'm definitely, because he fusses at me, bro. Like we be talking about, he's like, nigga, get your passport. Come on, like G is one of my Orisha. And I talked to G. G is here on this earth now, but G ain't from this. G is an old ass nigga.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah.
And like whenever I talk, like he tells me everything that I need to hear, everything I need to do. But one of the things is get to Honduras. So I'm definitely gonna go. I was supposed to be going to trying to get to Tijuana this week, but I got shit to do.
Indeed. Shout out to G. Shout out to everybody in Honduras. Such a rich, beautiful land, and I definitely want to make it out there one day soon, Mr. G. I want to get to, it was family. It was good to have a different type of show tonight, y'all. Bring a comedian onto my conscious platform and have a conscious conversation with an up and coming comedian, y'all, that's doing his thing. Real good feeling to do something like that, introduce something like that to my audience. Before you get out of here, two things I want you to, because I got another show coming at 10, y'all. I want you to tell the people exactly where you're going to be in New York. I think you were saying next week. So exactly where can we find you next week? Where can we find you on the internet? And you got to give us a joke or something before you get out of here. You gotta leave us with something, Willie.
Well, I'm gonna be a couple places. Tomorrow I'm gonna be in Chicago, actually Linwood, Illinois, for the Valentine's comedy show. Then I will be on Saturday, I'll be in St. Louis at Next Time Cafe, me and my boy Kelly K. Dub Walker. Then I'll be in New York City, back in New York, because I ain't been in New York in a minute. I'll be at Comedy in Harlem. And you can get your tickets on comedyinharlem.com. Got a bunch of shit coming up, man. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Willie Lynch _JR. My website for my product, for my herbs, because I am a motherfucking herbalist, nigga. We ain't even brought that shit up, nigga. It's osainsbotanicals.com. OSAINS botanicals.com. And yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where y'all can find me, man. You can find me on the internet talking shit about everything and everybody. Shout out to all the sisters with BBLs. And I was telling my cousin to not let his wife get one, but he was adamant that she wanted one. And I said, man, it's gonna fuck around and malfunction. And I'm not gonna help you heal that motherfucker. And what happened was, because you know, when niggas get sick, they call me G. And what happened was she got a BBL. And most people, if you don't know what a BBL is, that's when they take the fat out your stomach and they put it in your butt. And what happened, she got sick because she ate some bad food or some leftovers that was spoiled. And she went to the hospital and the doctor told us that she had an upset ass. And I said, God damn, nigga. What upset ass? I ain't never heard that diagnosis. And he showed us the chart. You see the inflammation right in her back pocket area. I said, this bitch, I told her not to get that BBL. And my one of my
upset ass. You crazy, man.
But yeah, man, that's where it is. I'm gonna be in New York, man, and I need y'all to be in the building. King Simon don't. I saw it when I met Dr. Sebi. King Simon was on the mic. You know what I'm saying? That day. Wow. Shout out to King Simon, man. But yeah, that's why I'm gonna be here, man. Y'all need to fuck with me. Pull up, get them tickets like ASAP, man. Comedy in Harlem is a black-owned comedy club. I'm actually recording my new comedy album. And I think Mr. G gonna film my shit too. So y'all pull up on the nigga, man. And I'm different. Like my comedy is some shit that y'all ain't never seen. Like it's retarded, but it's brilliant at the same time. And it is African centered, nigga. I'm an African. And niggas be like, I ain't, you ain't no African. You from St. Louis. Look, Malcolm X said just because a cat give birth to kittens in the oven, it don't make them biscuits. Bitch, I ain't supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be somewhere in Senegal, nigga, right by the river with my toes in the water. But some ugly motherfucker named Columbus with a baby dick was like, hey, y'all, I got some free labor that I need done, but I'm going to pay y'all for it. And we ended up in this bitch. And yeah, nigga, I'm the fucking African from America. Shout out to the noobs, nigga.
Hey, with that being said, listen, family, I'm going to be right back in 5 minutes with Red Pill and King Simon. Today is actually the birthday of Dr. Delbert Blair. We're going to be talking about Dr. Delbert Blair, the metaphysical movement. We're going to be doing a recap of the Non-Ether God Conference. Once again, I want to thank the brother Willie Lynch Jr. for coming on the show. Make sure you look this brother up, check him out. And if you're in the town where he's performing, make sure you go perform. Ladies, make sure look out for that upset ass if you got a BBL. I don't want none of y'all getting sick, you know. So yeah, I appreciate the quick comedy thing. But my brother, I appreciate it, my brother, and I'm gonna talk to you soon.
All right, man. Peace.
Shout out to Mr. G. I'll see y'all in 5 minutes. Peace, family.